Welcome back to Nightly Nonsense. We're in Nehemiah chapter 2. You know, I would get through more if I didn't do like a preamble every time. So let me skip that. We're in chapter 2. We're in verse 9, right? It says this again. Then I came to the governors of the province beyond the river. I love that. You know what the river is? I don't know it either. But it's really fascinating to think about it. Probably is the Jordan, right? And gave them the king's letters, right? Now the king had sent me with officers and army and horsemen. Do you know that God sends you with protection? Does God send you with an army when you go out for him? Do you know that Elisha figured that out? And he's like, hey, God, could you show this servant of mine that there are really a whole bunch for us? And then this servant's eyes are opened up and he sees all these chariots of fire and all these flaming swords and all this army around. Do you know that you could pray for that? When's the last time you prayed for God to show you the army that he's given you? Right? The army around you. Sometimes I pray that and it's amazing. All of a sudden, this person will say, hey, you know, I'm praying for you. And this person will say, I'm praying for you. And this person will say, I'm praying for you. And we realize, do you know, on any given day, we got a bunch of people praying for us. And some of those people, we don't even know. Do you know there are people through Drash Ministries that are watching this show all over the world? And those people, I believe, are praying for those people who are teaching. And we don't even know them. We don't have a clue, and they're praying for us. It's possible that there's some people in Africa right now praying for me to teach well because God's laid me on their heart. That's amazing. That's an army. God given us an army. He's given you all that you need. So sometimes, even though we feel like we're walking alone, God's like, you're not alone. I'm sending an army with you. Verse 10, but when Sanballat, the Horonite, this guy is the bad guy, by the way, right? And Tobiah, the Ammonite servant, heard this. It displeased them greatly that someone had come to seek the welfare of the people of Israel. I'm not getting any further than this. Let me make this super clear. Do you know that the enemy of your soul is not very happy when you're trying to get freedom for yourself or for other people? And you can immediately do. Ever walked up to somebody and you're talking to them and you're talking about a situation or something and immediately they turn negative? Immediately they start reminding you of who this person was, who this person is. They start reminding you of what they've done in the past. They start doing. Do you know that's directly from the enemy? Only the enemy reminds you of your past. God never reminds you of your past if you've repented and you've gotten past it. Only the enemy does that. So you know what? I tell people all the time, if you hear it, why are we never smart enough to look at the person and say, why are you doing that? Why are you bringing up the past? Why are you being used by the enemy? The enemy wants you to remember who you aren't. Right? God wants you to remember who you are. You are a child of God. You serve the Most High God, who's already got the enemy in checkmate. My friend Robbie and I play chess once in a while. He's pretty good at chess, actually. Right? Robbie taught me a technique that I've never even paid attention to, right? Robbie is really okay with sacrificing. Like most people, they play based on the parts of the chessboard, right? All the pieces, and they know what the pieces do, and they want to have certain pieces, and they know how to win with the certain pieces. Robbie will come in and he'll just blow up the whole thing. He actually will sacrifice his queen in like move 4, right? And now you got to play without a queen. And I'm not used to playing without a queen. Like, the queen's the one I want to save, right? I got to have the queen to win. I don't know how to win without the queen. And I was like, I got that. Do you know God does that same thing? Do you know God sometimes comes in and he just blows up the enemy? But he'll ask you to sacrifice. He'll use the parts that we're not expecting. He'll do all the things that we're not anticipating, right? Because God says, I'm going to win. I want to win. And the enemy comes in, and you know the enemy? He's betting on surety of things that he knows. He knows your fears. He knows what you're going to run away from. He knows that you don't like Goliath. He knows that you're scared when the boogeyman comes out, right? I remember those days. I had an aunt who, when we were kids, we would play hide and go seek. And she told us early on that there was a boogeyman who lived in her basement. To this day, never went down there. Ever did I ever go down in that basement, because I actually believed her. Right? There was some bad dude living in the basement. Turns out it was really just my cousin. But he really is a boogeyman. Never went down there. Right? Missed out. Do you know what was down in my aunt's basement, come to find out? A whole bunch of toys that I never played with. Ever. There's a whole toy room down there. But I never went down there because I was afraid of what I've been told. Yeah, that's how the enemy works. He wants to stop you at the beginning. You have an enemy of what God is trying to get you to do. If you don't understand that, you're going to be in big trouble. Right? We get the calling, we get the excitement at church. Oh, God called me to be a pastor. Yeah, or a missionary. And then we just think it's all going to be good. Do you know from the minute God puts his calling on you, the enemy knows, and the enemy is your enemy. He hates you. He hates you. Man, he hates the people down here at Drash Ministries. And he will actively do anything he can to stop you from doing what you're called to do. And he knows that that's a whole bunch easier on the front side. So what happens? You get the calling and immediately somebody says, I don't know about that, Andy. I don't know that you could ever do that again. Do you remember who you were? Do you remember who you are? Right? I don't think you're talented in that area. I don't think you're gifted in that area. Even though God uses untalented, ungifted people all the time, he gifts and talents those who he wants. So let me finish it up right here. Right? Listen, just because you got all the authority, just because you got the provision, just because you got the army, just because you have all that you need, you still have to be willing to go, and you still have to believe you have all of that stuff. And the enemy, he's going to be out. We're going to find out in the story of Nehemiah, he's going to be out to try to convince you you don't have any of those. You don't have what it takes to get done what God wants you to do. Hey, see you next time. Nightly Nonsense.